Hola, hola, buenos dias. This is going to be our second video in the Gender and Agreement series, and this one is titled Gender and Agreement 2, The Articles of Communication. This is actually a play on the Articles of Confederation, and I know that when you have to explain the joke, that means it's a bad joke, but I don't care. We're going with it. At any rate, in our last video, we talked about gender and nouns in the Spanish language, and we're going to go ahead and pick up with a little bit of review on that. Alright, so in our last video, we talked about gender in the Spanish language. I mentioned that all nouns have gender, and sometimes when it's a living thing, it's based on the sex of the living thing. Sometimes living things take one gender regardless of sex, and we had those words varón and hembra that kind of differentiate between whether it's a male or female. We also talked about the fact that inanimate objects have gender as well, and the gender of inanimate objects is independent of who or what traditionally uses it, or who or what owns it, or who or what is holding on to it. We talked about the fact that words that end in o and words that end in os are usually masculine. And we talked about the fact that things that end in a and things that end in as are usually feminine. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the articles that are used in a language. Articles come in two flavors. They come in definite articles and they come in indefinite articles. Definite articles are words that mean the in a language, and indefinite articles are words that mean a, or an, or some in a language. Alright, so if you're watching this video right now because you're in my Spanish class, I definitely want you all to be taking notes. And so I want you guys to write down definite articles, and I definitely want you guys to write them down kind of the same way I have them here. But you can do what we did in the previous video where we just made the table like that. And just for what's important for today, you can just put an M here for masculine and an F for feminine. You can put an S for singular and an S for plural. If you're watching this video because you got directed towards it on the interwebs, then you just do what you like. But for my students, take notes. Alright, so definite articles. And once again, take notes on this. These are the words that mean the in a language. If the definite article is masculine and singular, it's going to be el. And if the definite article is masculine and plural, it's going to be los. If the definite article is feminine singular, that's going to be la. And if it is feminine plural, it is going to be las. In the previous video, we talked about a few words that are masculine and a few words that are singular. And so let's go with perro as our masculine word. And then let's go with pluma as our feminine word. So if we're looking at perro and it is singular, and we want to put a definite article with that, we're going to say el perro. And right now that just says the dog. Alright, so let's take that and actually turn it into a sentence and say el perro es blanco. Okay, and what that says is the dog is white. Let's take pluma, and we'll do the same thing with that. We'll give it a definite article. Since this one is feminine and singular, we're going to use the feminine singular definite article, la. And then we're going to just add pluma in there. And once again, we want to turn this into an actual sentence. So we're going to say la pluma es roja. Alright, and what that means is the pen is red. Alright, if we want to make that plural, alright, so the plural of perro is going to be perros. Alright, and so the masculine plural definite article that's going to go with that is going to be los. So we're going to have los perros, the dogs. Now this is a lesson that we'll get into way down the road, but we also have we have agreement in verbs as well. Alright, so es means it is. Sorry, es means it is. And if we want to make that plural, we're going to say son. And then this is getting into the next video lesson. We're going to take that adjective, blanco, and we're also going to make that plural as well. So now we have los perros, the dogs, son blancos. They are white. If we're doing the same thing over here on the plural side, on the feminine side, sorry, we're going to take la and change it to las because we got multiples. So I'm going to say plumas. All right, we're going to do the same thing here with the s and turn it to son. And then we're going to take roja and we're going to make that plural as well. And we have las, which means the. Plumas is pens, son are, and rojas red. Las plumas son rojas, the pens are red. Okay, so our definite articles were el and los, la and las. These are going to be our indefinite articles, and once again, as a nice little reminder, these are the words that mean a, an, or some. The masculine definite article, the masculine singular, is going to be un, and the masculine plural is going to be unos. Alright, so we went from el to los, and this time we're going from un to unos. For the feminine side of that, the feminine singular is going to be una, and then the feminine plural is going to be unas. So once again, indefinite articles mean a, an, or some. Masculine singular un, masculine plural unos. Feminine singular una, feminine plural unas. Alright, and once again, we're going to put those indefinite articles into some sentences. Alright, so we're going to use the same words, perro and pluma. Alright, what I could say is un perro ladra. What that's going to say is a dog barks. If we have multiple perros and they're all barking, we're going to say unos perros ladran. Okay, remember what I said about that agreement in verbs as well? So ladra is the singular, and then ladran is the plural of that verb to bark. There's a little bit more information than that, but we're not going to get into it right now. All right, and so what this sentence says is unos perros. This meant a dog. This means some dogs. Unos perros ladran. Some dogs bark. All right, over here on the feminine side, we're going to use the same thing, pluma. All right, I'm going to say una pluma escribe. All right, and that means a pen writes. And then we can say unas plumas escriben. That means some pens write. Alright, so definite articles and indefinite articles. If the group that we're talking about is male, so you have one thing and it's male, the definite article is going to be el. If it is a group of all males, you're going to go with los. Alright, and these are for definite articles. If it is all female on the singular side, we have la and we have las. Alright, so for the indefinite articles, we're going to have un and unos, and we're going to have una and unas. Alright, so if it's one male all by itself, it's going to be el. If it's a bunch of males in a group, it's going to be los. If it's one female all by itself, it's la. If it's a bunch of females in a group, it's going to be las. Same thing on the indefinite side, one male, un, several males, unos. Alright, one female, una, several females, unas. But we haven't talked about mixed groups yet. When you have a group that is mixed between males and females, you're always going to go to the masculine side. So if we have a group of students, and like it is in our school, we don't have one class that's all males, we don't have one class that's all females. When we go with those mixed groups, we're going to say los estudiantes. Alright, and that's going to be the students learn. And we would have to gather from context whether that was all male or a mixed group. If we're talking about all the students, it's probably going to be a mixed group unless you go to an all-male school. Alright, and then same thing on the indefinite article side. If you have a group of mixed students together, you're going to go with unos estudiantes. And then same thing here, aprenden. Alright, that's going to mean some students learn. Alright, I'm pretty sure that's going to go ahead and conclude our lesson for the day. Okay, to wrap up what we just talked about, we have articles. And articles come in two flavors once again. We have definite articles. And once again, definite articles mean the. And for the masculine, we have el, and we have los. And for the feminine, we have la, and we have las. Alright, and then we have indefinite articles. Which mean a, an, and some. And for the masculine, we have un and unos. And for the feminine, we have una and unas. Alright, and for a fun fact that has nothing to do with anything, the Russian language does not have articles. Join us in our next lesson, which is going to be adjective agreement, which means making your adjectives match the nouns that they describe in number and gender. And that will wrap up all of our information on gender in the Spanish language. Muchas gracias, muchachos. Thanks for listening to this lesson, watching this lesson. Come back for more. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. And if you don't know where to find me, I guess just drop your questions down in the comments and I will get to them. Alright, thanks a lot. Have a good one.